Alright, so let's get going on activity 7. It's very important when you look at these types of questions to see how many blanks there are. So do you put in one word? Do you put in a phrase? Then also you're going to need to pay special attention to the grammar. Would you put a noun, an adjective, a verb in there? What tense would it be? That's the important part here. Usually you can figure out the word that should go in or the idea of what kind of word it should be, but it has to fit just right if you want to get full credit for it, especially when you take the DSE. So here, let's look. One day, searchers met a man coming down one of the trails. So that's going to be right here, paragraph 10. One day, searchers met a strange man coming down one of the trails. We can see it's going to be up here. A strange man. Does that work? Met a strange man. Yes, that matches. It's the same structure, so we can put in strange as it appears on the text. When the police officers tried to question him, he was not... Okay, so again, try to figure out what type of grammar. Noun, adjective, verb. Initially refused to cooperate when the police officers tried to question him. So would we say he refused? He cooperate? Let's look at that. He was not refused. No, that won't work. He was not cooperate. No. Well, we need an adjective here. So how can you put cooperate into an adjective? Cooperative. So that is the hard part for this question. Fixing the grammar, changing it from the text. Knowing that something was odd, the police officers, the man, a lot of questions. So we need to get a verb here. Okay, this one is also a little different. You may or may not find suitable words in the paragraph. So, right here in your reading, it says they interrogated him. They asked him questions. So then the answer here, it wouldn't be interrogated the man a lot of questions. You could say interrogated the man with a lot of questions, but here you would change it to asked. If you put interrogated, it's quite close, but then the rest of the sentence isn't perfect. So you would want to say asked right here. But if you put interrogated, very close, very close. Finally, the police had something. The man whose name was Andy James. So what did the police do? Oh, finally the police made a breakthrough. Now, the key word here is, what does breakthrough mean? And that's when you are searching for something, you're trying to find something, and then you get it. It could be a scientist who finally discovers what they are looking for. So, finally the police had discovered or found. The important thing is that you have the past tense. They had discovered. They had found something. If you put they had discovered, they had find something, you would not get credit on the DSE. Andy James was a what? All right, here, let's see. Andy James was running from the law and camping nearby in a tent. Okay, he was running. That means he's a bad guy. He's been arrested before. The police are looking for him. So what is a word that we could use there? I think the word you would probably think of is criminal. If you know the word fugitive, excellent. That's a hard word. Fugitive is a person that the police are looking for, is somebody who is running from the police. And a criminal could be just any person that has broken the law, who has committed a crime. All right, going on. So, complete the following summary using the root words provided on the right. One has already been done. So this is very similar in that the key part is to make sure your grammar is correct. He saw Laura Adams resting by her. How can we fix this? One fateful day, he was looking for food. He saw Laura Adams resting by. If it's only Laura Adams, that would be herself. It would be a good opportunity to attack her. He think. Now, if this happened before, it's the past tense. He thought it would be a good time. And Laura Adams with him, but could not. So that's going to be fight. But how do we make this into the past tense? Laura Adams fight with him? No. Past tense, fought with him. But could not beat him, or the word here, defeat him. So could not, do we need to change this for your grammar? Actually, it's fine. Could not defeat him. As he was more power? He had more power? Well, it says was more power than her. Powerful. He told investigators he took out his hunting knife and stabbed her to die? Stabbed her to die? Not quite. You need to make this into a noun. So that would be death. Oops. Okay. And then, all right, using words that can be found in paragraphs 12 and 13. It has now emerged that Andy James, the murderer, attacked Laura Adams because she was resting alone. So, how can we put this? Because she was, you can only put in one word. That's the important thing right here. If you put resting alone, the idea is correct, but you just put alone. It's one line, one word. Very important. He knew that she could not him. She could not. It was a good opportunity, so he decided to attack her and take any valuables she might have. Laura Adams put up a struggle, but could not, overpower Andy James. So, could not, well, that's going to have the same structure. So, overpower, you have the same word before and after. So, you would put in overpower. He wanted to attack her and take her, take her purse, take her money. We have to get a word that is here in the paragraph. It was a good opportunity, so he decided to attack her and take any valuables she might have. Take her, well, that one, it would be the same structure. Take her valuables. Okay, to his surprise, Laura fought back. He stabbed her to death with his knife. What kind of knife did he use? What kind of knife did he use? So where do you see knife? Right here. What kind of knife? His hunting knife. of the evidence. So the evidence would be the body. What's a word to get rid of? What's a word that would mean to get rid of? To dispose. Like you dispose of trash, of rubbish. Same thing here, that he wanted to dispose of the body. To dispose of the evidence. Okay. For this one, we do not need to change the structure, the grammar. He knew very well that was on the way. So the in the forest would be hungry. Let's go back. What is on its way? What is on its way? Try to find, the easy way is to find the matching words. So, here is on the way with, winter. And so the next line was something about being hungry. So yeah, winter. And then animals, looking for food. Okay, well here, let's go back to winter. That's definitely going to be the answer. This one knew very well that winter was on the way, so yeah, we don't have to change it. So in the forest would be hungry. Okay, who would be, something in the forest would be hungry. So it could be the bears, the lions, who knows? What would be hungry? It's no wonder her body was never found. From all around, the animals would have devoured her in no time. Knowing the animals looking for food would eat the parts. Okay, so yes, just animals in general. We don't need to put the pigs, the deer. So the animals. And we don't need to change the grammar for that. Would consume her body. They would consume her body parts in no what? And well, here they have a different word. Devour and consume, that means the same thing. That means to eat. Again, a very good practice you could do is find an easy word like eat and then figure out other ways to say it. Devour, consume, it means the same thing. So that would be right here, in no time at all. In no time. Okay, we only have one line, so one word, in no time. All right. So now we're going to go on into the further practice section. Okay. This is going to be a little bit on the challenging side. Okay, so now that we're in the further practice section, let's try to answer these. Some of these questions are rated very hard, some of them not so hard. If you get the hard questions right, very good. That's what you would need to get for 4s and 5s. If not, you're still probably in the 3 range. Most of you are doing quite well. These are questions that would really help you know if you're getting in the 4 or 5 range. So look at the word camps. So camp can mean many different things, but here they're talking about one camp who is for gun control, the other one who is against it. So that would be a group of people who have the same ideas. Right here, challenging question. The division is clearly black and white with no gray area. So the expression, if we say it's black and white with no gray area, that means you have two sides to the argument. In Hong Kong, the protests could really be black and white. That you have two sides. One who believes in one, who thinks that the government is okay, and the other one who really doesn't like the government. That would be two sides, the yellow and the blue camp. No gray area. So you're either on one side or the other. That's what the argument is meaning, that there is really nothing in between. So right here, you would also need to put in that something pertaining to this question. So like if you say people are either completely for or completely against gun control. If you say there's two options, you're either for or against, that's fine. But again, it's an expression. If you say something is black and white, that means it's either yes or no. That's what this is talking about. If you have gray areas, that means that you could have many different options in the middle. But here it says black and white with no gray area. That just says two options. All right, so what does the topic in line 3 refer to? Well, this whole thing is referring to gun control. What is the common occurrence in line 4? Okay. There is a mass shooting in America, and sadly this happens to be a common occurrence in recent times, so mass shooting. All right, this is another very challenging question. What is irony in paragraph 3? Well, one thing that helps you irony is very hard. So if they ask you a question about it, they usually will put it in the text. They will say this is ironic. Here, they changed the grammar of it, but let's read this sentence. The U.S. Constitution adopted this law, which ironically does not exist in England now. Okay, so what that means is that the U.S. has the freedom, Americans have the freedom for guns because of a law that was in England. But then that changed. So the whole point is that the origin, the beginning of why Americans can have guns is no longer there anymore, but they still really want to have their guns, the people who are for the right to have the gun. So let's look. This is the one that I said right here, the second point. Also, the law giving English people the right to bear arms, which the U.S. Constitution used, that's what adopted means, does not exist in England now. So again, if they ask you a question about irony, it's very common that they will say the word irony in the text. Look for that. It will help you to see exactly where the idea is. The main purpose in paragraph 3 is to, well, let's look at paragraph 3. This is talking about the Second Amendment, and I already made a video explaining all of this. So this is really talking about the history, what it was like before, how we are here now. Let's see which of these options would make sense. Grab the reader's attention. Well, you would usually do that in the opening, in the introduction. Explain the origin of the law. That definitely is it. Could be. Criticize the U.S. Well, it's not critical. This is just facts. And provide a definition of gun control. Maybe. But B is definitely better. The best option here. Okay, according to paragraph 3, what changes have been made to English law? This is a factual question. I think most of you can get this one right. And that you can't have guns anymore in England, and you also cannot have a knife on you. You can own a knife, but you can't carry it when you are outside. If you have it at home, sure, but you cannot have one in your car, for example. And when it says private gun ownership, that means individuals. So that non-private would be like the government. The army, for example, they will have guns. But private just means basic people, citizens. Okay, number 8. It's important here, they do say you can write more than one word on each line. So this first one is going to be a place. There was a massacre. Massacre means many people are killed in 1996. So let's try to find that. All right, so where is the place that this happened? This is talking about 1996. Do you see it? That would be right here. And it's in capital letters, so we know it's a place. In Port Arthur. Transformed legislation in Australia. So what could this be? Transformed. What's the topic of this? It's about gun control. Let's look back at the question. Transform control legislation. Well, then here, if it's control, that would be referring to gun control, obviously. The killing horrified the Australian public so much that Australia quickly changed the law afterwards. The National Firearms Program Implementation Act was enacted to private ownership of firearms. So there's going to be some word to reduce. But are they reducing? Are they reducing a little bit, a lot, or completely? Let's see. Quickly enacted. Oh, okay. The word that they've got right here after the name of the program, restricting. That just means it's not allowed, 0. So now it's illegal. To restrict. Before it was restricting in the text, but here restrict. 2 is the difference because if you just had the National Firearms Program Implementation Act was made to, well, never mind. All right, so let's continue here. Write a word in paragraph 6 that has similar meaning to carried out. A synonym for carried out. Okay, so that's going to be in this area right here. So what would be a word that means to carry out, to do in the country, to implement? And right here, implemented. It just says what's a word that has a similar? Implemented. What is the meaning of mentally deranged? I covered that in the video, but it basically, mentally means your brain, and deranged means unusual, problems. So people who have mental problems, people who are sick, you could say crazy, insane. Probably now people would be a little bit more gentle on that. You would use more mentally ill and disturbed, unbalanced. Crazy, insane is kind of mean, whereas now we try to help these people. Okay, the gun lobby is a powerful group. Now, I told you in the video that the NRA, the gun lobby, is a very powerful group. But do they say anything in here about how powerful they are? They don't, actually. So that is clearly something you have to check in the reading, even though if you know the background, if you know like what I was explaining, yes, they are very powerful, but that was not mentioned in the text. Anyone could obtain a gun legally in the US. Well, in the reading, clearly we said that that is false, that there are some limitations, like if you are mentally deranged in line 26. The black market controls the gun sales in the US. This is a pretty interesting statement, saying that the black market would control the gun sales. You can definitely get a gun in the black market, but would it control it? Actually, they're saying that you can get a gun legally here, and that the black market is big, but they never say anything about it being a controlling group. So that would be not given. Mass shootings are not uncommon in the US. Double negative. So uncommon would mean unusual. Not uncommon means normal, usual. So that's the whole point of this. Are mass shootings in the US common? Yes, they are. That's a double negative. If you say no, no, that means a yes. Find a word in paragraph 8 that has a similar meaning to advocated. We covered this in the reading. So it's going to be right up here. Championed. That means you argue for something. Like in Hong Kong, it doesn't matter what side you're on, blue, you're yellow. If you're very involved and you're trying to get people to agree with you, you champion it. You are advocating. You're arguing for it. That's another word. That's another meaning for champion. It doesn't just mean the #1 team, like NBA champion. It can mean that you argue for something. You championed it. All right. Which statement best summarizes the beliefs held by the gun lobby? So first of all, they think that everybody should have a gun. So anything that's against guns, is not true. And for multiple choice, if you can eliminate the answers that are impossible, then it helps you. So like right here, arming everyone with guns will not help. Well, that is clearly not the case. They think guns are good, so we can just mark it out. More guns mean more homicides. Well, homicide means murder, to kill somebody. So again, that's the argument for the other side. So definitely no. Disarming citizens is a good move. Again, that's an argument for the anti-gun group. So all three of these are the arguments for the other side. More guns means fewer gun deaths. That is exactly it, because for this one, you can eliminate the other options because those are what the opposite side thinks. That's going to be D. All right, a very challenging question right here about inference. So that means you need to guess the attitude, even though it won't be said directly from paragraph 8. So this can be hard just from reading. If you're talking to somebody, you can infer because of their face, their body language. But reading, it can be hard to infer what attitudes are. So let's try to look at paragraph 8. The gun lobby, championed by the National Rifle Association, argues that every time there's a mass shooting, there is even more reason to bear arms, to have guns, so that people can defend themselves. All right, so then this paragraph really is just about why guns are good. That's the important part right here. So anything about that guns are good. Let's look and see what the answers that they suggest are. Oops. Okay. They love guns. Many Americans support gun rights. Do not support gun control. Yes, it's going to just be anything that is pro-gun. This you need to put in your own words. If something is inferred, you cannot just put a fact that is in there. Like if you were to say Americans purchase about 4.5 million guns, that's in lines 33 and 34, then that isn't something you infer, you read that directly. Let's look. So in your organizing of the paragraphs, you put all of an idea together in one. So like paragraph 8 is really the pro-gun argument side about people who like guns. That's what they're talking about, the NRA and how so many people have guns. But then notice like paragraph 9 and 10, those are the opposite. They're talking about the problems and about how America is worse than other countries. So if you were talking about what's inferred about Americans, if you were answering question 14 for these paragraphs, it would be the opposite, that that guns are bad. Whereas for paragraph 8, it's going to be how guns are good. So this one, you only have 2 lines, so you don't need to write a whole lot. But basically, one of these, is it okay for you to put most Americans? No. Many Americans would be better because you don't have an exact number. We don't know if it's more than 50%. Many Americans, well, that could just be like, actually in America, about 30% like guns, but that's still almost 100 million people. So many would work. It's nice to keep it open, to keep it vague. You don't want to put a word like every American. That would be wrong. Most Americans, that would be wrong. But if you just put many Americans support gun rights, that's very good. Americans love firearms. That is not specific. That's not saying all Americans. It's just saying Americans in general. So that is a good answer. Or that they're against gun control. So hope that one makes a little sense. That is a very hard question. That would be like level 4, level 5. What does homicide in line 36 mean? Well, we said that a few times. That means murder, killing. Another way to say that would be a slaying, although we don't use that word too often. Complete the sentence below. The United States has more in comparison with the UK and France. Well, this whole paragraph is about this whole reading is about gun violence, gun killing, and so that's what they're looking for right here. Also, yeah, gun-related violence would also be a good answer. Why does the writer mention the UK in paragraph 11? Oh, let's look at that. So here, paragraph 3, for example, they talk about, and 4, they talk about the history, all the way to paragraph 5. And then the people who like guns, then they talk about the problems with guns. So they've given us the history, people who like guns, people who don't like guns. So basically this reading at the end here is trying to give us like a solution, an argument, evidence on why, what could be done on the, okay, it worked in the UK, so it might work in the US. Let's see exactly what the book says. To present an argument that when there are no firearms, there were fewer mass killings. Basically what we said right there. So yeah, it's evidence, it's proof that it could work in the US. Some people just say, oh, it's impossible in the US, but this is to say, oh, it is possible. We could get rid of guns because it was an issue before in England, but now it is no longer an issue. So hope that makes sense right there. Okay. So you're going to try to find facts. Just make sure that you have different facts. You don't repeat them. Okay, so you're going to get the arguments that are in here, and you basically want to put them into your own words. So they gave an example right here, anti-gun. People who think it's bad, okay, should follow England and Australia. In the reading, we can go to, okay, like right here, you have part of it. The anti-gun lobby in the US says that the Australian model should be implemented because if it worked there, it could work here. What else? So you're probably going to have like one argument per paragraph. So like right here, it is too easy for Americans to obtain a gun. So this is definitely going to be an argument. If we say it's too easy, what side would that be on? Well, that would definitely be anti-gun. It's too easy to obtain a gun. What else? So what arguments do you think they're making right here? There were about 11,000, there was many different homicides in the US. Or even like right here at the very top, that we say mass shootings are a common occurrence. Okay, that's going to be an argument right there. So let's just finish this one. What else? What else would be an argument? So they're very common. It's easy to get a gun. What's another argument that was made right there that would be against guns? Well, this last paragraph does have one right here. It says that the killings would stop if they're denied access to guns. So that would definitely be another answer right here. It's different. Yeah, they're similar to this one. It's too easy to get a gun, but then here you would talk about the next step. If they had fewer guns, you would have fewer killings. So it is a different argument. So pro-gun. If you're reading a text like this where you have, they will divide it, like one paragraph would be for guns, the other one would be anti-guns. You can even put like a little plus or a minus by the paragraph to remind you what the paragraph is basically saying, if it's for or against. So why would it be okay? Well, if we go into history, as we've mentioned in the video, that's the big argument that a lot of people say, that because it's part of American law, we should be able to have guns. So that's definitely going to be an argument right there. And then the next paragraphs that talk about the good parts of guns are down here when they're talking about the gun lobby and the NRA. That, like right here, they argue, and so like right here, I would put, say, a plus beside it for they think guns are good. This is just a note to help yourself. I do this sometimes to help me organize my thoughts because there's a lot of information here and it can help you so you don't have to read it 2-3 times. You can be faster with your time. Okay, so like right here, the NRA argues that every time there's a mass shooting, there's even more reason to bear arms so people can defend themselves. Okay, so that is definitely going to be an argument. And this one is similar, but it's slightly different. They also say that to reduce violence is the only way is to get more guns. Let's see what they say. So people can defend themselves, and then yes, arming more citizens is the way to reduce gun violence. So yeah, this one is kind of hard because the information is really deep in everything. I think the easiest way for this, if they have an argument that's two-sided, black and white, is that by the paragraphs you just put like a plus or a minus when you're reading so that you can go back and you know which side of the argument it is and you can try to find the information from there. All right, so last thing for this, this shows you the difficulty of the questions. So for example, question 5, 10, 14, those are extremely hard. 18 is also hard. So, you know, we're trying to challenge ourselves. I know that this was extremely difficult for many of you. I hope that at least, for example, you got question 1, 7, 9, 13. If you got those right, then, you know, feel good. That's fine. And we're just trying to improve. It's okay if it was really difficult for you, but yeah, several of you told me and you asked questions to me. If there's anything that I can do to help, anything I can do better with these videos, please let me know. And hope you have a great day.